If you're looking for new ways to extend your business applications, you have come to the right place. Our next session is titled Mastering Business Code Extensibility with CAP Plugins and SAP Build Code. We have with us Max and Oliver from the CAP team. Please give them a warm welcome.
Yeah, welcome from my side. My name is Oliver, and together with my colleague, dear colleague Max, we are from the team, from the product team, engineering team, SAP Advanced Financial Closing. And yeah, today we want to present how we want to offer our customer possibility scheduling process of Advanced Financial Closing with their custom scheduling solutions. Okay, yeah, so much for AFC. It's SAP Advanced Financial Closing. Maybe you have heard of that. We are around 5-year-old product now and have a lot of maturity, a lot of customers. And currently the scope is like that customers can use ABAP jobs. And recently we also introduced SAP Business Process Automation workflows into our scheduling process so that the customer can close their financial close or process their financial close scheduling ABAP jobs and BPA workflows. That's already there, and but still the requirements came up to allow arbitrary or custom third-party scheduler and integrate them into the scheduling process. This is currently how SAP Advanced Financial Closing looks like from the welcome screen. And what I wanted to show you is here that we have the communication systems that basically are the systems that customer can configure to communicate with those systems during the close, especially when scheduling jobs. And you see here that we have the type ABAP system and we have SAP Build Process Automation and a new kid on the block that we want to introduce now. So just as a teaser, this is not yet publicly available. So this is to be released, and to be informed, you just can watch our What's New section and SAP Advanced Financial Closing to see when this will come, hopefully soon. And yeah, the type we want to integrate is a third-party system. And for that, to be able to do that, we defined an interface that's the so-called AFC Scheduling Service Provider Interface. It's a service provider interface, which means that a customer or partner that want to implement that or that want to provide a custom integration need to implement against this interface. And this interface is already available on a Business Accelerator Hub. It's this one. So basically, customer could already, or partner, or whoever wants to implement that, could download the open API definitions, check how the interface looks like, and implement it with any arbitrary technology. And then when the integration with AFC is available, then can test the end-to-end process. So this is that state, but we want to go one step further. We don't want to stop here, but we want to classify the development approach. So instead of just working with the open API definition, we want to provide the implementer or the possibility to use the cloud application programming model and the business technology platform as for implementing the external scheduler. And of course, this process can be done also, or the implementation project can be initiated by SAP Build Code. So what we have done is, following the Kalesi approach, we have initiated a new, so this is now in dark mode, I hope you can read it. We have initiated a new project in our CAP.js community. So this probably already also know, so we have the CAP.js organization in github.com where plugins and extensions for CAP are open sourced by the CAP team. And there's another organization, which is the CAP.js community, where different other teams could be more, currently it's most also SAP teams, but it's also blended external teams can bring their projects into the organization. And there we have a new project, open source project, which is called the SAP AFC SDK. And that basically is a starting point for the customer and the partner to implement this interface or other things that may come in future. And the good thing is that this is let's say, I would say one of the first business CAP plugins. So currently, CAP plugins, but they all have a technical focus. So for example, we have attachments, we have notifications and so on. But it is now focused really on a product scope. So this plugin is for integrating with the SAP Advanced Financial Closing and first, of course, the scheduling interface implementation. And another one important thing is that this plugin can not only be used with the CAP Node.js project, but it is a universal plugin. It is also usable with the CAP Java project. Out of the box with a very similar setup, because the implementation, of course, depends on the language, but the setup and the usage is very similar. When we scroll down here a little bit, you see you have two sections for the CAP Node.js, CAP Java, and there's also some little bit architecture. What we are trying to do is, so as I said, we have a lot of plugins already provided in the CAP.js community, like for example, the WebSockets, event queue, feature toggles, and our SAP Advanced Financial Closing solution that we develop also uses these open source components, and we open source these components to make them available for externals. And now, a person or a team that implements an external scheduler has the possibility to use the SDK, and the SDK itself also uses, at least for CAP Node.js, because these are CAP Node.js projects. CAP Java is a little bit different. We use more the Spring components, but for CAP Node.js, you can also leverage the same components, the event queue for asynchronous processing, WebSocket for asynchronous notification of UIs, and feature toggles to toggle, for example, processing during runtime. So basically get similar components that we use in our application and also the customer and partner can use in the SDK and build their extension on that. A bit more detailed. The flow is as follows. So AFC will define the service provider interface. We basically, if the implementation is registered, as you have seen in the communication systems, the implementation is hooked into the AFC, then we can call the service provider interface, and then basically we have a flow through this process, which is already prepared as part of this SDK. So it's not directly processed somehow, but we have some inbox approach using the event queue. So first of all, this job should be processed. So we talk about scheduling jobs. The job should be processed. It's stored in the event queue, is synchronized with Redis across instances, persisted in the HANA database. And then we follow up with the second service, the processing service, that is then processing asynchronously. We have WebSocket service that publish WebSocket notifications to an UI service, because this SDK not only brings an API, but it also brings an out-of-the-box application that you can use to monitor your integration and in your scheduler process that you implement. Also, a periodic job is available. And all this architecture and design you get free out of the box. And in the end, what you have to do, you have to really then focus on your business domain and then your logic, and you really can decide what you want to do. For example, if a new job is scheduled, what do you want to do? Do you want to, implement your business logic, basically call to a different other system, connecting via CDS Connect to another system, or calling a other service in your environment. Okay, so that's basically the setup. And for the time, I would now hand over to Max to give a short demo on how this now looks like for a customer or partner that implements on this SDK.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oliver. So what we want to show is how easy it should be to use that extensibility. So as explained, AFC defined that interface. Everyone who wants to integrate or basically extend the business functionality of that multi-tenancy application needs to implement that interface. And that's usually sounds easy, but you get thrown over the fence that open API definition, and then you need to deal with it yourself. So we wanted to make it as easy as possible. So we said, okay, let's do it with SAP Build Code, that you get everything out of the box. You create an application, you choose a full stack application. I'm going to do Node.js for now because that's our area of expertise. But as Oliver said, Java is also working. You would enter a name here, you would create the project, and then it would take a little bit, but I want to, because we all have not much time, I just did that. And here we have a new project, and we can start here. And I would like to start with installing the plugin. So I open the page. I can copy the name. And I can say, okay, let's install it. I do npm e of capjs community. And I install the plugin. And with the plugin, there comes a CLI for setting up your project, for adding certain features that you can use. So now the CLI is installed, and I can now use, can I use AFC? Yes. So I get here an overview of what is possible, and I can do now AFC and say init CF, because at the end I want to deploy it to Cloud Foundry. So what happens is we get basically everything that is needed for deploying a real application. So you get a logging, you get XS UAA because you need it, or you can also use IIS. You get added your HANA, your SQLite. So basically everything that this project is ready to deploy, you get an MTA. And we can now directly start with npm start. And what this does now, it serves the UI, which is contained in the plugin. It serves the OData services. So basically now you have already implemented the interface that is required to integrate with a multi-tenancy application. And you basically only have installed the plugin. So you see here that we serve the UIs, we register the data services, so everything is possible with the Kalesi pattern. We also serve a REST API, so it's not only OData, because for the integration with third-party application, we chose REST here. And you can open the Launchpad and you see, okay, we have no data. But that one we can solve, because if you start with the implementation, it's just nicer to get some data in the beginning. So you can say AFC add sample. It adds some data. You can start the backend again, and you have some basic data. And those are basically in the context of our business application. That of course depends on the use case, but in our use case, this would be the things that can be started from Advanced Financial Closing. So basically it's what can be extended. And you have a full-fledged UI. And now we can also say, okay, we want to add the broker, so that the broker is necessary for the integration, that you get credentials. You can also add HTTP files to also test your API locally. And what we also have seen when we started the server is that we have a periodic event registered, and that runs in that local setup every minute, where you then also can do some periodic processing. Maybe you have integrated a job and you want to check, is the job still running, want to report a status back, and so on. Okay, but now we also need to implement some business logic. So what are we going to do? We say AFC add stub, because we now see our server folder is empty. There are no data, no handlers. So if we add the stubs now, we get basically a reference to the services. We can now extend the services. We can add certain fields. And we also, of course, can now do the important stuff. We can really focus on writing business code. We have now the extension points basically of our application, because we are talking about scheduling. So you have the important parts like processing a job, updating a job, canceling a job, and the synchronization of the job. So those are basically the extension points that our application offers. And you get generated a finished CAP project where you simply need to implement a handler, and then the application is extended. Anything to add?
No, I guess. Oh, yeah. No, I guess this perfectly for the time. I guess this is enough to digest. That is what we wanted to show.
Yeah.
Maybe we have some.
Yeah, maybe one thing to add. I just did it for Cloud Foundry. The same, works also for Kima. So we really try to have that generator in a way that would really fits everybody's needs. It's Java, it's Node.js, it's Cloud Foundry, and it's Kima. And if you would now go to the package.json and you also get a command, I don't get a command here, but if you basically use that MTA file and deploy it to Cloud Foundry space, it would create all services, all service bindings, create the application, and you're ready to go.
If you can just show again also the application open, so to really see that this one, yeah. If we go to the welcome page again, that we expose. Oh, it's not running anymore. I just switch over. Where did I add it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That we basically the plugin automatically exposes the interface, the scheduling service provider interface, and also the open API definition is exposed. So yeah, you don't need to do anything on your own. It's all wired up, and you just concentrate on your business logic and implement that with the CAP provided means. Let's say triggering some queries to the database or calling some external services. It's all wired up with the outbox, transactional safe, and so on. Yeah,
but you don't see it. So you don't see that the event queue or the task queue is below. You don't see that feature toggles are already implemented to switching certain features during runtime. It's all hidden.
And, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Max and Oliver. Were there some questions in the room? No, I'm shocked. If not, then we will take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 3 o'clock with our next session. Feel free to find them during the break if you do have some questions. Thanks, everyone.